Okay, let's just jump right into this. I have two jobs: connect my employees' personal and professional life and make them feel valued with a sense of purpose. That's it. Everything else is just noise. Now think about your absolute reality for a second. You're the one holding the keys. You're the one unlocking the doors in the dark. And honestly, before those fluorescent lights are even fully humming, you're probably already buried, right? You walk into three callouts, a register that keeps freezing, directives from corporate that make absolutely zero sense for your specific location, and a literal mountain of daily firefighting. In the middle of all that chaos, it is so incredibly easy to forget what your actual job is. Welcome to This Explainer. Today we're cutting through all of that corporate noise. We're looking at a brilliant, battle-tested concept from Chris Alberry's Built from the Aisles Up, a retail leadership survival guide. We're going to fundamentally reframe your entire purpose on the floor, shifting you from someone who just manages a chaotic to-do list to someone who truly leads.
Chris Alberry lays out a philosophy here that completely redefines the daily grind. Listen to this quote again. I have two jobs: connect the employee's personal and professional life and make them feel valued with a sense of purpose. Notice what's brilliantly missing from that statement? There is not a single mention of inventory accuracy. Nothing about sales per hour or conversion rates or policing dress codes. Alberry is stripping away all the corporate fluff to reveal the raw, unvarnished truth of frontline retail leadership. He's telling us that connecting your team's personal lives to their professional lives and giving them a genuine sense of purpose isn't just some nice HR-approved add-on to your busy day. This is actually your entire job description. If you're leading people in the trenches, this is the work.
To make sure we don't miss the absolute gravity of this, Alberry follows it up with this bold absolute. That's it. Everything else is noise. I really want to slow down and let this land for a second. Just think about your last shift. Think about how much of your precious energy went into the noise. We get so caught up in the daily grind, the audits, the stockroom standards, that we completely forget the core engine of any store is human. Freight doesn't pull itself. Registers don't run themselves. All those operational metrics and directives, they're entirely secondary to human connection. Here's the secret that veteran leaders know. If you get the connection right, the metrics naturally follow. But if you relentlessly chase the metrics and ignore the humans doing the actual heavy lifting, the entire system just falls apart.
Think about your default setting when you're incredibly stressed. When it's a massive Saturday rush and absolutely everything is going sideways, usually our default is managing the work. It's enforcing discipline, it's hounding people about metrics, maybe threatening write-ups for minor infractions just to regain some sense of control. But contrast that with leading the person. Leading the person is focused entirely on connection and purpose. The fatal flaw of traditional old-school management is that we're trained to focus almost exclusively on the work itself. But let's be real, managing the work doesn't inspire anyone. It just makes people feel like cogs in a machine. The actual requirement of leadership, the singular thing that keeps your store functioning and your team from walking out when the chaos hits, is leading the person. You manage inventory, you lead people.
And if you're wondering what failing to make that shift actually costs you, the source lays it out plainly. People don't quit jobs. They quit leaders who don't make them feel seen. We have all felt the excruciating pain of catastrophic turnover on our shifts. Think about that exhausting cycle of constantly interviewing, onboarding, and training someone on the register, only for them to ghost you 3 weeks later. It's brutal. When you're perpetually short-staffed, when morale is in the basement, and you feel like you are physically dragging your team through an 8-hour shift, it's usually because of this right here. They aren't quitting the cash register or the stocking cart, they're quitting because they feel invisible. They're leaving a manager who only views them as a scheduled warm body meant to execute a task.
So, let's ground this theory in absolute reality. The source text gives us this fantastic, real-world scenario directly from the retail floor. Alberry shares an experience about a cashier who was clocking in late, and once she finally got on the floor, she seemed completely zoned out and totally distracted. Now put yourself in that manager's shoes for a minute. You've got a line of annoyed customers wrapping around the main aisle, you're already down a person, you're probably covering a break yourself, and your cashier strolls in late and isn't even mentally present. Your immediate instinct, the one drilled into you by every strict corporate attendance policy you've ever read, is to pull out the binder, march them into the office, and start the disciplinary paperwork right then and there.
But let's look at the exact steps this manager took instead. Instead of jumping straight to the reprimand, they subverted discipline. They deliberately hit pause on the corporate policy. They just asked a simple human question. What is going on? It turned out the cashier's mother was in the hospital. Think about the massive emotional weight of that for a second. The schedule was immediately adjusted to accommodate this major life crisis, followed by intentional daily check-ins. This proves that true leadership in the trenches requires compassion and curiosity way more than immediate policy enforcement. Imagine if the manager had just written her up. They would have ruined her day, built a massive wall of resentment, and very likely lost an employee entirely.
So what does it actually mean to make someone feel seen? Well, it means knowing your employee far beyond their name tag or their job title, and recognizing who they are outside the four walls of your store. Let's unpack the psychology of this for a second. People carry their lives with them when they clock in. They just do. When you recognize that the person ringing up customers has a family, profound stressors, and triumphs completely separate from your business, you validate their humanity. Making an employee feel genuinely seen creates this incredible, unbreakable bond. You aren't just a boss barking orders anymore. You become an advocate. And when you become an advocate, you build a team that simply does not want to let you down.
Now, for anyone listening who might be thinking, okay, this sounds great, but I have a high-volume business to run. Isn't this just, soft leadership? Listen, if you think this is soft, look at the result of that cashier story. She came back more motivated than ever. The author emphatically notes, that's leadership. This isn't soft, it's an incredibly effective operational strategy. By connecting with her personally, the manager yielded far better operational results, immense loyalty, and this level of discretionary effort that standard corporate discipline could never, ever achieve. Empathy is what actually drives performance. Loyalty isn't bought with paychecks alone in retail, it is bought with respect and genuine care.
So how do we translate this lofty philosophy into the actual daily grind? Here's how you build these practical habits on a regular shift without it feeling weird or forced. First, actively avoid jumping straight to discipline. Just create a tiny mental gap between their infraction and your reaction. Second, always default to curiosity. Just ask, hey, what's going on? Third, adjust schedules for life events. If someone needs a Tuesday morning off for a custody hearing, figure it out. The business will survive, I promise you. And finally, check in daily. Now, this doesn't mean hosting a deep therapy session in the stockroom. It's as simple as asking, hey, how's the new puppy? Or how did your midterm go while you're unboxing freight together on the floor? Keep it natural.
As we wrap up our time together on this explainer, I want to deliver a final, echoing takeaway directly from the source material. It's literally labeled a survival tip. And for very, very good reason. Know your people. Not just their job title, but who they are outside of work. If you are the person holding the keys, if you're the one setting the tone for the entire building every single day, this is your ultimate survival mechanism. This right here is what will get you through the hardest, most understaffed shifts. You absolutely cannot lead a job title. You can only lead a living, breathing person. I want to end with a question that challenges all of us. Who is putting on a uniform in your store tomorrow, and what are they carrying with them from home? I want you to really, genuinely think about that tonight. How well do you actually know the team clocking in for your next shift? Challenge yourself to find out, make them feel seen, connect the personal to the professional, and just watch how it completely transforms the energy, the morale, and the performance in your store. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. Now go out there, hit the floor, and truly lead your team.